guys, it's Justina from Magpie and Mockingbird, and today we are going to do a tutorial for how to make a book club kit. So I have made two different kinds. One kind looks like this, where you have two separate smaller boxes and then a journal on the side, and this one is held with elastic. And then I have made this where it's one big box and a pocket on the side. So today we are going to focus on making this, although I will talk you through these mini boxes. All right, and this box did not turn out the way I wanted it to, so we will actually be making a box that looks like this with a magnetic closure on the side. Okay, so it will be this design. It's the same size box. I just like this having the magnet on the side rather than on the top like that. All right, so let's dive in. And first thing you're going to need is chipboard. All right, so you are going to need two spine pieces. Actually, the second piece is optional. I'll show you what I do with it. I just think it makes it easier. So these are going to be 9 by 1.5, two pieces. And then you're going to need your base pieces, which is a 9 by 6. And you'll need two of those. And then we are going to wrap these. So in order to wrap them, we are going to use 11 by 4 paper, two pieces. It's supposed to be two pieces to wrap the spines. And, oh, there it is. I knew I had it somewhere. Okay, and then to wrap the base, we are going to need 11 by 8. And that will give us this basic outline. Okay, so let's begin. Actually, before I begin, this was all inspired by Debbie from Project 39. So I will link her original video so that you can see her creations, which are fantastic. Okay, so the first thing I am going to do is glue my chipboard to the center of each of these pages. And I am using my Barely Art glue. Love this stuff. And let's get to work. So now we are going to fold along all four sides to get our nice score marks. We're going to miter the corners and then we'll start gluing. But just so you know ahead of time, you cannot glue all the sides to one of these pieces. Otherwise you won't have the hinges you need to create the book. So just a heads up, because I can't tell you how many times I just get in the zone and start gluing. Do not glue all the sides to one of these pieces. All right, and then what I like to do is use the paper kind of against itself, to fold against itself. And I just find that makes it easier to get a nice straight line. I gotta tell you guys, I am so disappointed with this paper, the way it's cracking. Do you see that? It's too bad. I mean, I love this navy color. This navy color goes very well with the paper I'm going to use, but not crazy about what it's doing. Actually, I think this is 110 pound, which you definitely do not need. I needed it because it was the only one that had this color for me that I have right now. But you could use your 65 pound cardstock and it will work beautifully. So now we are going to miter. And when I say miter, do you see how the lines come together at this point right here? You do not want this. This is extra. It will bulk up your project. However, you also don't want to cut right at this line, because if you do, you're going to create a hole. So what we do is we cut toward it and then pull up. All right, so you're close, but not quite. And I'm going to go through and now do that for all of my corners. Throughout your mitered corners, you won't need those. All right, and let's do this, you guys, because like I said, I get in the zone and I always forget. We are going to glue these two sides down and that's it. And we're gonna put it to the side, okay? Because we need these two flaps to create our book. So okay, take this, put it aside so that you don't accidentally glue everything, right? Trust me. Okay, so what you have now is front cover, back cover, the hinge that's going to connect it. And then the reason I did this, you guys, is that I glue this right here. It gives extra support to the spine and it covers up all of the cardstock. Now, I'm just gonna say this one last time. It's driving me crazy. This cracked and broke all through this. Okay, so normally I would just stop and completely start over because it looks so bad with it cracked. But this is a tutorial. I'll just go through and show you the steps. Just know if your paper looks like this, it shouldn't, and it's probably too thick. Okay? All right, so these are the hinge pieces. And what I do is I line them up like that. And I add my glue. Oh, and that is my cat. Okay. And push down. And then I use my scoring tool to really get in there. And you obviously want this as secure as you can. It's the spine of your book. Okay, and now we're going to do the same thing with the other side. Okay, we're going to line up these pieces, apply our glue. Okay, and push them together and push it down. Get the scoring tool and just really get in there. All right, and so now you have the base of your book. All right, and then like I said, I glue this whole thing down. The chipboard is left over from when I cut these pieces, so I have the chipboard, and the paper is left over from when I cut the 12 by 12. So for me, this makes sense. You might want to just cover this with a piece of paper and call it a day. Totally up to you. I like the extra security it gives the spine, especially because things in here start to get heavy when I add the journal and the box and then any little book club items inside the box. Okay, and then again, I use my scoring knife. Oop, got some glue on there, and spread it. And I do cover this with decorative paper as well. Really push down. Okay, and so now we have the reinforced spine and the book is done. So now it's time to make the pieces. So the first thing we're going to do is make the box that goes here, and then we'll work on the pocket that goes here. Okay, so let's start with the box. Now, like I had said before, you can use pattern paper and you can follow these steps and make a very similar box. I had wanted it to be 110-pound cardstock to really make it secure. That was my deal. Also, whatever you put here gets glued down, and it felt like a waste of paper to me. So this is the way I'm doing it. This might not interest you, and you can do it the other way. This is just what I have found. This is what I prefer. Okay, so to do this, I am going to be using my die cut machine. I got a bunch of these rectangle die cuts. They're Recollections, I think, from Michaels. I I wasn't crazy about it, you guys. I put it through here, and can you tell? Like, the line curved. I don't know what happened here, so I'm hoping this doesn't happen again. It was a one-time thing, but we will see. Okay, so you are going to need a piece of acetate, and mine is 5 by 6.5. It's going to be quite large. The reason I make it so much bigger than it has to be is that I like to put score tape around it, and I don't want that to show. So I give myself, you know, all this extra space so that I can put my score tape on, set it down, and not have to worry about the score tape being visible. All right, then you are going to need, let's start with the 110-pound cardstock. Okay, so this is white 110-pound cardstock. You're going to need 2 1.5 by 7.5 pieces. You're going to need a 5.5 by 7.5 piece. You are going to need a 9.5 by 7.5 piece. And these will make the box. And then when it comes time to decorate, you are going to need, now I wrote 8. I'm going to come back to this, you guys. I don't think that's right. I think it's 6. 7/8 by 7 1/4 pieces. And then you're going to need 4 7 1/8 by 7 1/8 squares. And then you're going to need 4 7 1/8 by 5 1/4 pieces. You are going to need 1 5 1/4 by 7 1/4. And you are going to need 2 5.5 by 7.5 pages. All right, so those are your decorative pages. Let's begin. We are going to be scoring our 110-pound cardstock. So let me get my scoreboard. Okay. So we are going to be scoring the 9.5 by 7.5 paper, and we are going to be scoring 1 inch on every side. Okay. I do it 3 times, and because it's 110 pound, I am pushing down as hard as my scoring blade will go to really get a nice indentation in there. All right, so we're scoring at the 1 inch and just rotating. Okay, so you can see it's a very basic, okay? Then we are going to score the 1.5 by 7.5 pieces, and we are going to score both of those at 1 inch going the long way. Okay. Okay, we are all set with the scoring. And now is the part that I am so open to feedback if you know easier ways to do this. So we are going to make the window using our 5.5 by 7.5 piece of paper, okay? We're going to make the acetate window. So I have tried going through with a scalpel. I have tried going through with all the pieces at once. I have not met much success. So what I am doing instead is I am going through and I am die cutting the 110 cardstock first, and then I am putting the decorative paper through and die cutting 2 of those together. But like I said, if there's an easier way, I am open because I find that it doesn't line up perfectly and I get really frustrated. And then I also wonder if this is defective because, like I said, there was a curve in it and I don't know where that would have come from. Oh, also, just in case this works for you. Okay, so this is going to be a hinge to, you know, connect it to the box. There's going to be a hinge here to connect it to the box and then a hinge here for the flap. Originally, I just had it as one big piece. This was too big to go through my Sizzix Big Shot. So if you have one of those like wide mouth Sizzix things, spare yourself the extra step and just add a 1 inch piece on both sides and score it rather than doing it separately. But my limitation is I have the standard size Big Shot and it's too small. Okay, so I'm going to use my washi tape to try to secure this to see if maybe that will prevent this from losing its shape as I put it through. All right, I just eyeballed the center. You guys could absolutely use a ruler and find one. Okay, and then let's get my Big Shot out. Okay, and I just put it through once, and it does seem, last time it seemed to struggle to go through, which is odd. And I don't have trouble with the decorative paper. Okay, so put through once. All right. All right, that appears to have cut out a lot nicer than the last time. So maybe the last time was just a fluke, you guys. All right, and then I'm gonna save my washi tape for the next run. All right, so we have the window. Yeah, look, see, it's just not crisp. All right, not a big deal. I think these are things sometimes that only I see. Okay, so then we are going to take our two 5.5 by 7.5 decorative papers. And again, I am open to feedback, you guys. So if you can think of a better way to do this, share it with me. But this is what I do. I line it up with this. Okay, and then I go and get my pencil. And I just make little notches in the corner. Okay. And then I take my die cut, and that's where I line it up. And then I reuse the tape. Okay, and then I make sure now I have 2 pieces, and because they're only 65 pound, it works with one go. All right, so now I'm going to make sure that these stay lined up. Put it through. And now we have cut through both pieces. All right, so this, save it. It's a good chunk of paper. You can use it for something else. All right, and now Not bad, right? It lines up not perfectly, but pretty good. So I have, you know, the front and the back. But don't glue it yet, because I also did that too. Gluing decorative paper is going to be one of the last steps because there's so many other steps we have to do. Okay, so we have this piece done. Now we have these pieces that we scored. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to fold on the score line. All right, so there's our first hinge. There's our second hinge. Okay, so it's all scored and we need to make a couple snips. So basically we want these little 1-inch squares, we want to cut one side loose so that we can fold up and then glue to make a box. So I cut outside the score line last time and I wasn't crazy about how that looked. So this time I'm going to cut inside the score line and just see if I like that better. All right, so we're gonna go to all 4 and just cut these parts loose. All right, so now these come up, and then you can see the base of the boxes right there. All right, now we have to attach our hinges. Let's attach it to this first. So I'm going to miter okay. And then I'll line it up like this, right? Glue it down. Same thing with this end. And if you have a bigger big shot, then you don't even have to do this part because you can make this all one piece and just score it. Okay, so one of these hinges will attach to the box, and the other one is going to be your lid. Not your lid. What am I trying to say, guys? The part where you open the box. My words are gone. Okay, so that side, I'm going to just take my corner rounder and round it. Okay, and then, okay, so the hingey side is what I put on the front, in case you're wondering. Now I'm going to flip it over, And I'm going to put a magnet here so that I don't forget and put my decorative paper down first, because I am definitely prone to do that. So I use these Total Element magnets. They're incredibly thin, incredibly strong. I mean, can you see how thin that is? It's amazing. All right, so I'm going to just put this down. Should have made that tape a little bigger, but no big deal. Try to center it. You don't want it to go close to the edge because it's really hard for your decorative paper to go over it. All right, so just to hold it in place right there, and I will work on the other one after. Let's hope I don't forget. Okay, so now let's do the acetate. Okay, so remember I told you, you're making that page that's bigger. Okay, this is another thing I would love to know, guys. What do you do to wipe down your acetate? I was using like individual like eyeglass wipes, but it seemed like that was too intense. And then Windex also seemed too intense. So would love to know what you guys use. Okay. So let's add tape around the edges, and then we'll put it down. Okay, so this is too thick. All right, so I have this 1/4 inch score tape. This is from Amazon. And I'm just going to put it as close to the edge as possible, because like I said, I don't want any of this to show. I have all 4 sides with my score tape, and now I have extra crud on my acetate that I'll wash after, because I'll just play with my acetate all day long trying to keep it clean. Okay, and then I like using my Cricut tool to pull the tape off. You can use your fingernail. Holy cow, how did I get so much stuff on this acetate? Wow. Man. Okay, so I just, you know, get it under there, but like I said, your fingernail is fine. And looks like I'm using mine. Yep. There you go. No fancy tool needed. Okay. And all right. Wow, that picked up a lot of dust. Okay. Now you can glue the decorative piece over it. Okay. And layer it up like that. So I think we're ready. I think we're ready to start doing the decorative pieces. Actually, let's attach one more thing before I do that. Before I do that, we're going to attach this to this hinge, okay? And I am going to miter this. It also like gives you a little bit of grace if you don't line it up perfectly. Okay. Nope, hang on. Like that. Okay, so I'm just going to line this up, add my glue. All right, and then just because I know how I am going to get the other magnet in place before I glue down my decorative paper and put it right over. we are ready to decorate with all of the paper that we have already cut out. So we are going to do the 5 1/4 by 7 1/4 here. Okay, and I probably should have said this earlier, but I highly recommend non-directional paper, unless you can keep up with it. I cannot. All right, and then let's do our little 7/8 squares. We're gonna go here. All right, and now we're going to do our 5. Oh, why do I only have 3? There, 4. Okay. We're going to do our 7 1/8 by 5 1/4 on the part here, and then we're going to flip it and also do it here. So now we have the 7/8 by 7 1/4, and we're going to put one here, flip, and put one here. So we got both those sides. Now we're going to glue one here. All right, we're getting really close, you guys. So remember how I said that is my daughter, and that is how she is choosing to play. Okay, so remember how I said 8, but I didn't think that was right? It's 6. I made 7, but it's just 6. Okay, so for this piece, I am going to corner punch, but I'm not going to do the biggest one. I'm going to do the middle one. See, it still lines up really well. Okay, get the tape off. And try to center it, and then remember you want to push around the magnet to help the paper glue down and not pop up. Which the magnet is so thin you don't really have to worry about it. Okay, flip it over. This is the last one of these pieces that we're doing. Okay, so now we just need to glue down our cover pieces. So I'm going to see, I think that's upside down. Yeah. All right, and so I'm going to put glue on this and glue it down. Awesome, you guys, look, we got it. This box. This box should not take as long as it does, I don't think, but we got it. Okay, so now we're going to put glue here, glue it here, glue here, glue it here. Okay, so that we make our box. Now, if you have clips and you want to have the clips hold it in place, you can do that. Mine aren't big enough. I was trying, they just weren't big enough. And the big thing here, guys, is just make sure these are flush. You don't want a gap in your box right there. So I'm just going to hold it. You know what? I'm going to do my clips. Okay. And then we'll come over here and glue this side. Our box is done. Does not make that satisfying click. That's okay. All right, and this can get glued in now, and we'll have to clean up this acetate after. All right, and then you can put different items inside here. I usually do that last, so we'll keep constructing, and then do the fun stuff at the end. So let's keep going. All right, guys, we are in the home stretch. So you are going to need 2 pieces for the inside of your book that are 5 3/4 by 7 3/4. And then you will need 2 pieces for the cover of your book. So 4 pieces total. Then you are going to need a 5 3/4 by 4 1/4. And we are going to be scoring that. And then you're going to need 1 1/2 by 2 3/4. You'll need 2 of these, and we'll be scoring these as well. So let's get the scoring out of the way, and we'll make our pocket. Okay, so for this, we are going to be scoring on the 4 1/4 side, and we are going to be scoring at 1 inch. And then 1 3/8. Okay, that's it for that. And then for these, we are going to be on the 1 1/2 inch side, and we are going to be scoring at 3/8 and 3/4. Just tiny. Okay. Let's start putting this together. All right, guys, sorry about that. So I made 2 different size journals, and I started to use the wrong sizes. So the sizes you will need are 5 3/4 by 8 3/4. You will need 4 pieces, 2 for the inside, and then you will need 2 for the outside. Okay, so there we go. Problem solved. So let's start with the inside. There. See how much nicer that fits? Okay. Same idea, but now with the front. We need to do the spine. The spine is 1 1/2 inches, so we need 1 1/4 inches by 8 3/4. Just looking to see if any of the paper I had cut wrong could fit, but it doesn't. So let's see what we got here. Probably should have mentioned this at the beginning. I'm working with the Craftsmith Book Club paper. And so I also, this stuff I have used for spines as well. It's just really pretty. That is pretty too. What should we use? I wonder if we should just use the blue. Let's just do the blue, guys. Okay. So I'm going to cut a piece for here and a piece for here. So we want this to be, want this to be 1 1/4 inches. Okay, and then we want it to be 8 3/4. Okay, so we'll glue that right here. And then we can take the box that we made and glue it down. The pocket now. Sorry, my cat feeder's running in the back. Okay, so we scored it on these 2 lines. So let's fold it. Okay. So basically we have this little, what do you call it, guys? The part, it's going to go like this, and that's the part that's going to hold the pocket, okay? And then these are going to be the hinges on the side. So first I want to round the corners. Okay. And then I'm going to take these pieces and fold them. Okay, and so what I do with these pieces is I glue them in. I glue them in here like this. Okay, just to kind of give it more of a structure. Okay, so I am going to need to corner around. I'm going to glue here and glue it down here. I'll just use this as the where to line it up. So you want to go down, if you fold this up, you want this to go as far down as it can go, but then you also need it lined up on the side. All right, there's one. And then it will be the same thing for this. All right. There we go, that's easier. Okay. Okay, and so now we can bend it at our next crease like this, and then fold this up Okay, so what I'm going to do is put glue here and here, and then glue it down there. Okay, so it goes about to there. Okay, and what I'm paying attention to is this corner right here to make sure it's sealed and everything is lined up. And then I can take a clip even and hold it in place. Okay, and same thing on this side. Okay, and I want to make sure I have a square corner there. There we go. All right, I'm just kind of squeezing it together. Okay, so now I'm going to put glue all around here and stick it down. My children are fighting 24 hours into spring break. Okay, then I take my scoring knife to go in and push this down and just make sure it's sitting and sticking where I want it to. All right, guys, and there you go. We have the basic outline of our book kit. So what I typically do is I put a journal in here, and then I find other little goodies to put in here. I might hold it with Velcro. I might make it magnetic. Sometimes I just place it in. Depends what it is. You can see we have quite a bit of space to work with. So I will come back on later and show you my finished journal, but that is how to do the basic construction. Hey guys, I'm back. So I decided a couple things. I'm not going to go through and do this tutorial, so I will link the tutorial that Debbie from Project 39 has, because it's this, I think it's a slightly different size. I believe hers are bigger and mine are slightly smaller, but it's all the same concept. So I will link that, so you, if you want to make the two smaller boxes, you have another option. Then I am going to just go through and create without talking. I'll just put some music on. So I got these journals at Ollie's. I think I got 8 journals for $5. So I'm going to be using these 5x7 journals. And then for my ephemera, it's all the Michael's book club stuff. I got pins and stickers and notebooks. So I'll just go through, see what works, what doesn't, and I'll see you at the end. here is the final walkthrough. So we have the outside, whoop, it looks like that. Probably should take off the slippery plastic. Okay, and then in the pocket, I decided to put this pad of paper. It has a magnet, so part of me is wondering if I should use a magnet back there, kind of hold it in place. Or maybe I just need to take the plastic off. All right, and then we have our little box, and there's a bookmark. There are stickers for a library. There's a pencil, one more chapter, and then there's this little notebook that go inside. And so this will be a little book club kit that I will be selling in my craft fair. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, if you want me to explain anything differently, just let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next time. Bye.